We're getting closer and closer to the release of the Vora's Pact update. My guess is we're about 2 weeks out and we'll likely see the update come out in the last week of October. For right now though, we're still in the PTS cycle, and like with any PTS cycle, there have been some adjustments. As far as I can tell, the update notes haven't been updated yet. They normally tend to do that when the PTS cycle ends. But at the very least, I can inform you guys on what has been done to the newest flank character, Vora. Before that though, I do want to do something I haven't done in a while, and that's let you all know that I do have a Discord server that you guys should totally join. We're of course big on Paladins over there, and we're also pretty big on art too. So if you're a Paladins player, an artist, or even somebody that likes seeing other people's art, or hey, maybe even all three, then you'll be able to feel at home with us. I also do talk there, by the way. I'm not the kind of YouTuber that makes a server and then never talks in it. Anyway, back to the video. Now before I talk about the buffs, I want to say that I'm not using footage of the buffs because we're at that point in the PTS cycle where nobody is really playing the PTS, so it's rather difficult to get games. So keep in mind I am using pre-buff gameplay, but that's okay, right? You guys are here for the info itself anyway. So for the most part, Vora has been buffed, and I think most of us probably foresaw some buffs coming her way. The character isn't anywhere near as weak as some say, but Vora also had some problems that needed to be addressed regardless. So let's go over them. What's happened to Vora? So a big problem people had with Vora was that her tendril cooldown was too long. A whopping 14 seconds, and that's a pretty massive cooldown for a flank's only movement ability. So the cooldown was reduced to 12 seconds. That's a lot better, and if you want to reduce it further, you can. Vora does have a loadout card that reduces the base cooldown by up to 3 seconds, so you can get the cooldown down to 9 seconds before Chronos, of course. I think Chronos 3 will get it down to about 6 or 7 seconds if you really want to go that far. There's also other cards you can use to lower the cooldown further by using other abilities. Now, this of course also buffs her double tendril talent. In my opinion, this talent should probably increase the cooldown by 2 because this talent was pretty balanced before the buff. It was really only the base tendril that needed it. It's possible that Vora's mobility could be a bit overwhelming when the update hits, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Now her tendril DR card was also nerfed from 25% max to 20% max, since you are going to be using it more often. This is good because odds are the 25% could have made Vora feel a bit oppressive with the lower cooldown. Her mid-air inaccuracy was also removed. It didn't really make sense for her to have it in the first place. By design, Vora propels herself into the air, and her DPS isn't high enough to really warrant this either, so it's pretty great that they went ahead and removed it. The last buff was a bit of a damage buff. Her light hits now do 20 more dot damage, and the heavy hit received 50 more flat damage. So nothing too crazy. Too big of a DPS bump would more than likely break this character. We don't want her having high DPS alongside sizable self-sustain, great mobility, and a CC that other flanks don't normally get, like a friggin' cripple. More DPS would easily overload her. Also, I know a lot of you have complained about her ult. Some think it's too weak, some think it's too difficult to confirm. Personally, I don't think it's weak at all. Yes, it's not as straightforward as most flank ults. It's more tactical to fit in with the rest of her very tactical design. It has several uses. You can use it for mobility and survivability, to easily win a 1v1 against any kind of character with the execute, or you could use it to simply get a stun off at the right time. Keep in mind your allies can attack whatever you go and stun. So what it's most useful for really depends on the moment. The ult isn't anywhere near as bad as some make it out to be. I will admit though it can definitely be pretty finicky when it comes to confirming it. They are looking at ways to make it more confirmable, but no news on that at the moment. I do want you all to be aware that you do have to aim the ult though. I made the mistake of thinking it would automatically connect if I pressed a button when I got close enough, and I know a lot of people made that mistake as well. You do have to put the crosshair on the target for the ultimate to go off, so that may be a big reason why people are having problems with it. Again though, it is still a bit finicky even when you do aim it properly. Outside of that, the only really big problem with her that'd be left is how weak the character is against double support, due to her low DPS. The DPS bump Vora got could hopefully help out with this. I feel like odds are it probably won't, but it is possible. In the last video I talked about how making the dot apply caught would help her against double support, and how it was inconsistent that Life Rip and Wrecker worked on her dots but not Cauterize. Somebody made a fair point that Cauterize is working as intended since Cauterize applies on the initial hit of the weapon, and the dots don't count as weapon hits technically, so it makes sense why Caught doesn't affect it. Life Rip and Wrecker use the damage of the attacks itself, so the dots work with it. Again though, I've said it before and I'll say it again, double support as a whole needs to be brought down anyway. Sustain comps and sustain metas are the absolute worst, and many players complain about them, for good reason. They hurt more characters than only Vora, and they are a pretty big problem that will likely need to be dealt with very soon. I know double support has its defenders, but guys, double support flat out ruins the game unless you have a comp made specifically to counter it. And yeah, that's possible in ranked, not likely, but possible. And in casual play, it's not really possible at all. And casuals is of course what most of the player base plays after all. So it understandably has to be fun too, and a double support is only fun for the people playing it and the people getting pocketed by it. So yeah, if Vora does get help against double support, I imagine it would be some kind of adjustment to double support. Anyway though, that's it for this video. Wanted to pass that info along to the rest of you. There may have been more done in the PTS, but I only really know about the Vora stuff. What do you guys think about the Vora buffs? Feel free to let me know in the comments below. And that's pretty much it guys, I want to thank you all for watching, I very much appreciate it, and I'm gonna see you guys later. Bye!